actually running for Tucson City Council. So I just want to take a couple of minutes of you guys' time today before you get going with your meeting to introduce myself. I'm a firefighter here in Tucson. I also teach at JTED. So a lot of what you guys do is very important to me from the JTED side with our programs we have there, with our heavy equipment operators and some of the job development things we have going on. I'm running for Tucson City Council in Ward 3. I'm running as an independent. It's my first time running for office. But one of the biggest things for my platform that matters with this group is about the economy for Tucson. As everyone knows, we have a tremendously high poverty rate, and we need to create jobs in Tucson. We need to focus on the small businesses that are here, the ones that have gotten us through the recession. And I want to take my experience from JTED and how we develop students for the trades and really focus on those blue collar jobs and focus on electricians and plumbers and truck drivers and all those jobs that we've lost track of and we don't have training for anymore. So that's one of the biggest platforms I have. Public safety is obviously horrible in Tucson, where we had to pass a sales tax. And with my fire background, I'm fighting for that. But the big thing for you folks is the economy. We really have to get skilled workforce for you to be able to continue what you're doing. I don't want to take a lot of your time. I'll be here afterwards if anyone wants to talk. We have a website. It's Watson and the number 4 City Council. Take a look at that. As an independent running in Tucson, I have a massive uphill battle coming against the Democratic Party. I do have one opponent. He is a Democrat, and all he wants to do is put solar on everything that you can possibly put a solar panel on. So hopefully you guys will be interested to take a look at what we have to say. I'll be here to talk to you afterwards, and I don't want to hijack your meeting, but thanks for letting me stop by today.
If you didn't pay online, I'm going to pass the bucket around. $15 on the honor system. Pay for that wonderful lunch. Congratulations on that lunch. It's very good.
A couple of quick announcements and then we're going to get into the program. Number one, we are video recording this meeting as we have done for the last 2 meetings. We also video recorded a roundtable with Congressman Gosar that we had last month. And so if anybody doesn't want to be on camera, you can hide in the corner or step outside as he rolls around your way. But we're proud of what we do, and we're definitely grateful for having you all here today. The other thing that we want to talk about real quick is there's some announcements that are important, upcoming things. All right, come on, Rick. The Fall Mine Safety Conference is in Phoenix, and I believe it's October 13th, 7 to 12:30. And this is where the Arizona Mine Inspector and the different mining companies present what's going on. ARPA is promoting a facility tour October 17th. There's some information. We will be posting this on our website as well. And then MSHA has a new leadership position announcement, and I apologize, I just got this at the last minute, so I have no idea who it is. So I'll give you about 30 seconds to try to read through that. Evelyn Wood is providing free classes. And, but anyway, but one thing I want to say is also on our website is a couple of documents that were presented to the Department of Interior and the Bureau of Land Management where we had a collaboration with AMA. Suzanne, thank you very much for your help and leadership. Sydney, Steve Trussell from ARPA, and then SABC. And we got a little bit of press out of here in southern Arizona. One of the big areas for the national monuments issue is trying to get the Ironwood National Forest to be somewhat reduced in size, so that we could continue to expand the historical projects out there, but also Jim Briscoe has a project in that area. And it's also got 60,000 acres of Arizona State Trust land that is tied up that can't be sold for private use in education. So when the government keeps saying about this, that, and the other thing, they're tying up our education dollars just as much.
Rick, just for everybody's interest, I am hoping to make a presentation to Secretary Zinke next week or as soon as possible with a proposal to carve out the mineral sections of the Ironwood Forest and make those available to mining and let the birds and whatever's at the restaurant.
All right, thanks, Jim. So anyway, we've got a lot going on. We also, the price of copper is going up, and as you can tell, the room is starting to fill up again more and more. The enthusiasm is building, and appropriately so. We have several projects that are moving forward. Jerry, do you want to sort of give us a quick nice to know, good to know, and who should know?
Yeah, I can do that. I will be brief. I know we have an exciting presentation coming up. Jerry Bustamante, I'm with Hud Bay Minerals, and just to give you a very quick update on where we are with things with the Rosemont project. For those of you that didn't have the chance to attend the last Amigos meeting, we gave a presentation, Kathy Arnold was here. We did achieve a significant milestone as we received the record of decision from the U.S. Forest Service on Rosemont. And there's no way of downplaying how significant of a milestone that is for the project. We're talking over 10 years, over 1,000 studies, and over $100 million spent in that process. So that's a significant milestone for us. In terms of next steps for us, we are awaiting a decision on the Clean Water Act Section 404 permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. We expect a decision sometime this year, and we're optimistic that we're going to have a positive outcome. We're also working on the approval of the final mine plan of operation for Rosemont. That's an administrative process with the U.S. Forest Service. And then, of course, there's always the threat of litigation that we have to deal with. But barring any injunctions, once we have the Section 404 permit, once we have our final mine plan of operation from the Forest Service, then we're in a position where we can actually start moving some dirt, which is something that we're really, really excited about. But again, we don't control the timeline, but just know that we are eager to get started as a company. We're in a good place right now. Copper's at a good place. Our stock is doing strong. So we're eager to get started. Just a little bit of news as well. Pat Marin, who many of you know, he's been the VP for the Arizona Business Unit since Hud Bay acquired the project. We're losing him. Today's his last day, and we're really sorry to see him leave, but he received what he described as the second great opportunity of a lifetime. So he's going to go work for Goldcorp. He'll be returning to Toronto. And our project director, John Zito, he's going to be serving as our interim VP down here in Tucson. And for the rest of us, it's business as usual. So that's what we got going on right now with the project. And again, we're eager to get started. And more importantly, we really appreciate everyone's continued support here. Thank you.
Again, I'm Dan Johnson, the Vice President of Florence Copper. Just give you an update. Actually, we've had a very good positive 6 months. We actually had a favorable ruling from the Water Quality Appeals Board for the state. So we have our APP now. It's valid and we can go forward. Of course, our opposition did file an appeal against it. It's going to the Superior Court, but at this point, it's all valid. Another good development since I talked last time is we have got a positive ruling on our legal non-conforming use argument with the town of Florence. They're saying that the property was rezoned for residential back in 2007. We feel that was done illegally, and we felt strongly about that. And we actually got a favorable ruling from Superior Court, Maricopa Superior Court, that we actually do have valid mining rights there. There's just one little argument that we have to take care of, but for the most part, we're past the legal non-conforming use argument. That means we can mine our whole property. We're actually starting on the Arizona State Land Trust property as it is right now for our pilot test. And we've actually been drilling for about the last 6 months as well there. So moving dirt, doing studies, so we're progressing pretty well. The only thing that's the only hurdle in front of us right now, which we actually just had a hearing back in Washington, D.C. in front of the Environmental Appeals Board for an underground injection control permit. We felt it was a very positive outcome there. I think the EPA did a really good job in their argument against the petitioners against our permit, as well as we did. We feel that we're going to get hear something in the next few months, but we're going. We're drilling. We're progressing. We'll have the pilot test up and going next year. And a lot of good things have been happening, so a lot of good progress. See the light at the end of the tunnel, and just like he said, thank you guys for all your support, and keep supporting us as you can. I can't say enough for that. So thank you.
You know, I was telling Sydney earlier on, I don't know if I'm just arrogant or assuming everybody knows who I am. But actually, my name is Rick Grinnell. I'm the Vice President, also known as the Mule for Southern Arizona Business Coalition. We put the saddle on and we go to work and we do stuff that sometimes not everybody knows about. But the primary purpose of is to provide Southern Arizona with a voice for this industry, and working in collaboration with AMA, with ARPA, with Amigos. We have come a long way, and we're going into our 6th year already. So I want to say thank everybody for your support. Thank you for what you continue to do. And finally, Granite Construction, I want to just say thank you again for what they do for us. They give us the water, they give us the room, they give us the AV system, and these are expenses that we don't have to put out for, just cover the food and some miscellaneous things. So for the people of Granite Construction, thank you all for being here. We appreciate you. And then I'm going to close. I'm going to close with this real quick. You know, on Monday, we're going to be celebrating 16 years from 9/11. But 9/11 was not only a situation that brought us together as a country. Today, we are dealing with 2 major natural disasters that the men and women and first responders throughout our country are volunteering for, and all the good people doing stuff. And when we get into politics, we have a tendency to want to badmouth each other, beat up the president, beat up the speaker, beat up the other opposition. And at the end of the day, what we have here is the greatest group of people in the world. And I would just ask if anybody has, on 9/11, there's going to be 1,000 of us climbing, not me, them, firefighters, military, and law enforcement officers climbing stadiums 2,071 steps in honor of 9/11. But they're also doing this in honor of all the people that serve day in and day out, foreign and domestic. So keep that in mind when we're complaining. Remember how lucky we are sitting here right here today, and be grateful for what we have. So thank you everybody for being here. We appreciate your support. And Don, all yours, buddy.
Well, thanks, Rick. My name is Don Taylor. I'm Chief Operating Officer for Arizona Mining, and just want to reiterate thanks to Granite Construction for the venue, and thanks to Amigos for an opportunity to be in front of you today. I'd like, before I get started, I've got a presentation I'll go through, but I'd like to introduce some of the new hires from Arizona Mining. These guys are all pretty new, actually, but it's a sign of where we're going and how things are starting to move forward for us with the project. And since Ryan was last a while ago, I'll make him first this time, but Ryan holds a VP in charge of infrastructure on the project. He's been with us about, seems like 6 months, but it's probably more like 2 weeks. And next, you guys, once you stand up so these guys will know who you are, I'm sure some people want to talk to you at the end. And Richard Locke is second. Richard will be a senior vice president. He's going to be in charge of the project and construction. Next to him, John Barber. John is VP of mining. John's going to be working out the mine plan and some of the issues around that as we move forward. And last but not least is John Gravel. And John is in charge of procurement and some of our contracts. And so I encourage you to get to know these guys, and maybe not much encouragement will be needed, but anyway, good team, and as you'll see, we'll be building that out. I noticed one of our other team members decided to leave, but you probably all know Greg Lucero over here. He's in charge of our VP of our government affairs and community affairs, and does a wonderful job. He's our link to the community here. He's out in Nogales, and Greg and I have been through the war since 2010 together. So. That's all I do. Well, as they say, it's not the years, it's the miles. So, are you okay? Yeah. What I'm going to talk about this morning is the Hermosa project, and obviously I may make some forward-looking statements, so don't go out and buy stock based on what I say. But as we start to progress, one of the things you'll get a sense of here is how big this deposit actually is and how important we think it's going to be, not just to Santa Cruz County or Arizona, but maybe to the entire United States. Some of the PEA we've just finished, again, it's an early day, preliminary economic assessment, but it looks like the operation will probably employ as many as 525 people in steady state. During construction, as many as 800. We're trying to do rapid development. We've got a few things going for us that some of the other operations don't, as we have some private land that we're able to operate on with state-only permits. And it's not that we won't draw the ire of our opposition, it's just that they'll have less, be able to put fewer hurdles up in front of us as we move along. You'll see that we've got a very long-lived mine, we believe, and hopefully these jobs will be not just 10, 20-year jobs, but 30, 40, 50-year jobs. One of the things that happened to us, I believe it was in May, is that we got a very strong endorsement from South 32. If you don't know who South 32 is, they are a branch off from BHP. BHP took some of their operating properties and moved them off into a separate vehicle name and called it South 32. And they spent 100 million Canadian, or whatever it is, 88.2 million, and bought equity in our company in May of this year. And so they run the Cannington mine in Australia, so they do understand the lead zinc business a bit. And Cannington was actually one of the larger silver mines in the world for a very long time, so they understand this business. Just to give you an idea, we're about 60 miles southeast of Tucson, and this is our land package on the right. What you'll see, we've got about 20,000 acres in blue there that are unpatented mining claims. We've got about 530 acres of patented mining claims where we own, and so that's where most of our activity is going to be. We're fortunate in that there's actually two world-class deposits on the project. One is the central deposit. It's a silver manganese zinc oxide, and it in its own right is literally a world-class deposit. It contains 280 million ounces of silver, and it's open in all directions. We've not really drilled the edges of it yet because of some of our limitations with the Forest Service. However, we're not focused on that central deposit any longer because of what we've discovered with the sulfide deposit. Sulfide deposit it's not intricately linked, but it's certainly linked down dip from the oxide deposit, and I'll show you what it looks like in just a second. Go ahead, Greg, if you would. Don't want to bore you with the geology, but just want to show you this. This is a long section through the deposit. And what you'll see is the greens and the purples up here are volcanics. The blues, the yellows, and the browns are Paleozoic carbonates, and that's what's hosting the mineralization. The block on top up there, I don't have a pointer I would point, but the block on top, maybe I'll walk out here if that's not too bothersome, but this block up here is about a mile across, and it's even bigger in the width dimension, but it's an exotic block. It's actually been moved there structurally and has been well mineralized. And then as we go below, there's a block that has not been mineralized. But what you'll see is the stipple pattern up there represents the sulfide deposit. The brown is actually what we included in our PEA, and the magenta or reddish, more reddish color is what we've drilled since then. So you can see that there's a lot of opportunity there, both in and out of the section as well as right and left of the section. Go ahead, Greg. In the PEA, we put out a resource, and again, it's a good measure where we were at the time. And the highlight number, the cutoff number that we used in the PEA to generate the financials and the economics is the 4% zinc equivalent cutoff, which is highlighted in blue. And what you'll see, there's about 110 million short tons of material that grade greater than about 11% zinc equivalent. At today's prices, we probably would have dropped that cutoff to the 2% level here, and there you're talking about 145 million short tons of material. Again, it's going to grade about 10% zinc equivalent. The point with that is, right now our plan is to mine at about 10,000 tons a day, or 3.5 million short tons a year. So at 140 million tons, you can see this is going to last a while. Go ahead, Greg. Uh-huh. Sure. Is this better? Yeah. Is that better? Yeah. Sorry. I should. Many times the base metal deposits, especially these types of deposits, carbon replacement deposits, they generally have warts. And the wart that usually occurs is the metallurgy. And either it's poor recovery or it has negative metals in it. This one is unique in that there don't seem to be any warts. You'll see the sample on the right, it's very coarse grained. You know, we've drilled through lead cubes, literally lead cubes in the core that are 3 feet across. Well, at least in one dimension. I don't know about the other dimension. The core is only that big around, but we've drilled through lead cubes that are 3 feet in size. And the metallurgy here is very good. We see very good recoveries. And the point I want to make is that the project here won't make metal. What we'll make is 2 products. We'll make a zinc concentrate, we'll make a lead concentrate. We'll make a lot of lead concentrate, we'll make a lot of lead zinc concentrate, and that has to be transported off the site some way to go to smelters around the world. Go ahead, Greg. In the PEA, obviously it's a high level, plus or minus 25%, but it gives you a good gauge on what the project looks like. And this is some of the economics. I mean, a 42% after-tax internal rate of return is really a pretty good number. And again, on the reduced size project of 1.3 billion NPV at 8% discount rate after taxes. So again, very robust, a quick payback. And I think the biggest numbers up here, and I'll show you why a little later in the slide, but when you look at our C1 cash cost for both zinc and lead at 51 cents and 38 cents, you can start to draw some numbers from that. And then when you look at all of it, you'll see all sustaining cost stuff of about 61. Today, zinc's about $1.40. So relatively speaking, a very low pre-production capital cost of about $450 million. And then overall, sustaining capital, pre-production capital run right at about $1 billion. There's a lot of opportunity to optimize as we go through here. Obviously, as you get closer and closer and you draw the engineering circles a little bit tighter, but we were pretty broad based on the mine plan, and so there's a lot to do there. The other thing to emphasize here is we're going to be, compared to some of the other Arizona operations, you know, we're talking about something here that's going to disturb 300 acres temporarily. I mean, we're going to use dry stack tailings. We're going to put most of our backfill back underground. In the PEA, we used a conservative number, about 45% going back underground. We've been challenged on that. There are analysts, engineers who came in and said you won't have enough. So it looks like the amount of material going back underground from the tails could be as high as 70%. So again, a small footprint on the surface. And we're looking at all the other trade-off studies that go along with that. One of the other things right now is in the metallurgy. We see that we can probably go to a lot larger grind size, and makes it easier to get the water back, makes it easier for engineering backfill, those sorts of things. Go ahead, Greg. We're looking at a lot of, one of Ryan's things he's looking at right now is we're doing a lot of work on trade-off studies and transportation. What we got up here, Patagonia you see on the map there, and then where the project is, Formosa, that we've got basically 3 egress-ingress routes that we're looking at. Some of the trade-offs we're looking at is we're looking at the power, obviously, versus gas, electric versus gas. We're looking at how we're going to get the concentrate in and out. We'll be at peak. We could be making as many seven concentrate trucks out an hour, which means 7 in an hour. So it's a lot of trucks. What we're looking at right now is a combination of things of trucks, rail, and slurry pipelines that might alleviate some of that issue. We're looking at everything from a slurry pipeline that actually goes into Mexico. We've had some very positive communications with the State Department of Washington, D.C. They've actually told us that they could permit this in 9 months. I am from Missouri, so I can actually say I'm from Missouri. So, and then also on the personnel side, you know, you're talking about 525 people in this project. It's a very rural area. So we're looking at how we're transporting those people to and from the project, but all things that'll work themselves out as we go along. Just to give you an idea, these concentrates, again, a lead concentrate and zinc concentrate, the very likely scenario is we'll take those concentrates by either rail or truck, and they'll wind up in Guaymas. And they'll go into a deep water port that'll go to points north. A comment here I would make that there's very few zinc smelters left in the United States. I don't know the number. I think it's probably 2. There's a couple oxide plants. There is absolutely not one single primary lead smelter in the United States. The last one closed in 2006 for very false reasons. It was Herculaneum in Missouri. It was run by the Doe Run Company. So if you can imagine this now, and lead's one of those metals that most people don't understand what it's used for. They just hear that it's bad. Every single vehicle on the road has a lead acid battery in it. bar none. Even your electric car, if you're driving a Volt or a whatever they're called, every single one of them has a lead acid battery because it's the only thing that will run that 12-volt system, not the engine, but the 12-volt system. And so when your battery goes bad, within 2 weeks it's back on the shelf. That's how tight it is because 99% of the lead that's used is recycled. But all of our lead will wind up in points beyond to be sold back to us because we don't have that primary facility here in the United States any longer. Go ahead. Some of the places it'll go, obviously China's on the map, South Korea, Japan, Australia, but another likely place, and one of the big things we'll see is both our concentrates contain a high amount of silver. The lead column will run in excess of 1 kilogram, and the zinc will be around 300 to 400 grams a ton. So both have value to them, and so we'll only be limited to those smelters that will actually pay us for the silver out of that. Go ahead. Where we are today, you've heard about some of the permitting nightmares. Johnny Pappas is not with us today, but Johnny's our environmental director. He's doing all of our permitting right now. And Johnny came to us from the Remarco project in South Carolina, working for Remarco Minerals, the Hale Gold Mine, now run by Oceana. And they were able to get that done in about 3.5 years. Johnny's comment when he showed up here was that he thinks this is easier than Hale, H-A-I-L-E. But anyway, well, time will tell. But what's out for right now is when we purchased this property out of the state trust lands, there were some remediation jobs that we needed to do. They've gotten bigger, but we've been able to meld them in with some of the pre-production things that we're wanting to do on the property. But where we're at right now, we're going to put in an active water treatment plant to treat an old historic mine water, and we're going to move some historic tailings at some point, and we want to be able to treat those waters until we get into operation. And so we're looking at an active water treatment plant. We've got a ZipD's permit into the state right now. It looks favorable at this point. We'll find out. We've got a couple of months to cross our fingers here and hope. But it's pretty tough if the opposition comes out and comes against a remediation project that everybody's been wanting to get done for a long time. At least that's our hopes. Second, we're going to put in a lined tailings facility that will act. First, we're going to move the old tails and then do the HDPE liner and put the old tails back on it. But this will also work as phase 1 of the tails for our operation. Especially, we'll do a long decline into the property, so we'll need a room to put that potentially acid generating material into that line facility. And so that's a good start for that. And again, that permit is in. It's been reviewed. We're waiting for draft comments any day now. And then the other part of that is we'll have an underground collection pond. And because of that line facility, we're prepared to, this will take care of a 100-year, 24-hour rain event. And it's about a 9 million gallon pond to take care of that. So just to give you an idea what things look like, this is the site. This is the old trench mine site. What you'll see in the orange is actually the tailings facility, the phase 1 and 2 tailings facility where we'll put the old tails and the material from the decline. The other orange as you go out the arm there is the underdrain collection pond. And then finally at the end in blue is the active water treatment plant. One of the things we're doing, and again to stay out of the scrutiny, the only connection we have to really anything to do with water is Harshaw Creek. Harshaw Creek runs along the road down here, and it drains into the town of Patagonia. So when it rains, water goes to Patagonia. So what we're doing, if you see the black line on there with the arrows going in 2 directions, what we're doing is we're keeping all of our disturbance on that dividing line to the northwest. And what it does, everything we do then, anything we discharge, any water we clean through our treatment plant, it all goes into Flux Canyon, which comes out downstream of any activity around Patagonia. So we believe that'll work in our favor. We've had some really good luck, had a lot of community support. This is a lot of the Nogales business community out visiting the property here. A couple of things, this is from the Mexican side. This is one of the consulate members with a cowboy hat on. He's actually now an ambassador. Came and had a really good time at the site. These 2 guys are from the American side on the consulate on the US side in Mexico. A couple of the other things I wanted to mention is we just drilled some test holes for water. Water is obviously important out there, but our first hole we drilled, and it's away from the deposit, but we were able to pump a little over 1,100 gallons a minute, 72 hours did draw the water down a bit. It recovered right away. And so we feel really good. Our maximum water consumption in the PEA is about 650. And again, that's all dependent on how much you recirculate and all those things. But we believe 650 is the top number. Long and short is, it looks like we've got plenty of water. And so we scooted over about 4,000 feet and we drilled another well. And we're in the middle of that now, but it looks like it's going to facilitate any shortfall we have anywhere else. The other thing we've got on the site is this property's been mined since about 1885. There's a series of underground workings that hold somewhere between 1.5 and 3 million gallons of water. We can use those for our processing. And so we've got several water sources that we're going to work through. Go ahead, Greg. Just when you go through the checklist, you know, we've got where we want to be with the preliminary economic assessment. The voluntary remediation plan is well underway, and obviously we're financed up now through feasibility. Actually, budget show us going through 2018 without having to go back to the markets for any money. We're still testing the potential deposit. I've got 11 core rigs out there running right now. We've been as high as 14. We let a few go. We've got them back now. We're going to go to either 14 or 15 drill rigs coming up in the next month or so because we're still looking for the edge of the deposit. One of the things that we'll ask for support on later is that we're getting ready to put in a plan of operations to the Forest Service. Everything we've done so far has been on private property. No drill holes off. And so we believe, actually we know, that we are going to find more ore once we move away from property. What we'll do, we'll submit a plan of operations in probably late September. It's for about 75 or 80 drill stations around our unpatented mining claims. And we'll certainly look for some support, you know, of letters as we go through the Forest Service hoopla to get that done. The other thing that these guys are tasked with, I can now dissociate myself with this task, is to deliver a feasibility study at the end of the first half. I was asked this morning if July 1st is still in the first half. But anyway, we'll see if we can deliver that feasibility study by first half of 2018. Go ahead, Greg. Just some of the plans, just to give you a timeline, again, of what's ongoing, what we're doing. But we hope to start that decline. That's the big thing. We hope to start that decline in Q2 of 2018. Once we start that decline, that's when you know it's really going in the right direction. Go ahead. Just wanted to show something here. You know, we hear all the time about this terrible Canadian mining company. And I'm sure all you understand why we're based in Canada. Because Canadian exchanges, if you're gonna be in commodities, the only place you can raise money is Toronto, London, or Sydney. And New York's not the place to be. New York wouldn't even recognize us as a project right now under SEC rules because we don't have reserves. So that's why we're there. But the other thing I think you need to look at is where our money goes. And what you'll see on this slide is that with the exception of $5.3 million, of the $66 million we've spent in the last 18 months, 20 months, is all gone right here in Arizona. And it's gone with Arizona vendors, Arizona contractors. The only thing that we've really done out of state is our metallurgy. And the reason being is we were looking for some very specific skill sets along flotation. So anyway, what you'll see is the majority of our money is right here. Now, I've told you what I think about us. I thought I'd show a couple of slides of what other people think about us. This is a slide that was put together by one of the banks, and it's based on the PEA results. But what you'll see, and you guys will recognize, but on the left-hand bar is a zinc equivalent grade, and on the right-hand side or the bottom is tons, increasing to the right. And what you'll see, there's only 4 projects that are on the slide that are actually bigger than where we are today, based on grade and tonnage. Now, the one caveat is Mount Isa is not on here. Mount Isa would be about where the exit sign is over there, and it would have skewed the chart, so they didn't put it on here. But what you'll see is we're growing, and we're big, and we're high grade. Here's another one that was done again by one of the banks, Scotiabank, and what you'll see is that if we were in production today, at some of our early days, we'd be I think it's the 4th largest zinc producer on the globe. Go ahead, Greg. Here's one that's, I don't know, this is all projects that are being either developed. What you'll see is it's a profitability index. And the only thing you really need to know, the numbers are just how they calculate it. But right now, Hermosa would be number 3. Timok is number 1 in Serbia. It's a copper project, direct ship copper ore that runs about 15% copper. Yeah. Go ahead, Greg. This is probably the most important slide I'll show in terms of operations, because what this is all the zinc producers on the planet, at least the major ones. And what you'll see is the cost curve is broken down into 4 quartiles. And so when times get hard, prices get low, the guys that start to fall off are on that far right-hand side. And where you want to be is on this left-hand side. And as you can see, even just based on our PEA today, we'd be squarely right there. So in tough conditions, we'd be one of the last ones to be forced out of operation. And everybody knew what zinc was, so I thought I'd show a few of these, but this is just, all the zinc goes into galvanizing. So every piece of car, every metal stud in buildings, that's where zinc goes. That and zinc tablets. Lead, as I mentioned a while ago, forget everything else. The 2 main uses of lead are lead acid batteries, and then the backup energy source for cell phone towers is lead acid batteries. And again, it's because of their characteristics. Go ahead. And then silver, everybody knows what silver, you guys all have silver, but it's not where it used to be. It's all electronics, jewelry, and coins and bars. Go ahead. And just kind of to close here, you know, with what we've got is it's a world-class resource. We've got the size, we've got the grade, we've got the continuity, we've got the metallurgy. It's a good commodity mix, especially zinc today with the deficits we're seeing. These guys are the experienced team of mine builders we've got. We've added a couple of new board members. A fellow named Boehner has come on, and you know, he's been a big plus. He's added a lot to the discussion. It's an amazing. He's quite an amazing guy. Anyway, and William Moreau, you may not know as much at BlackRock out of New York. I think you'll hear about him coming up because I understand he's going to be a campaign manager for a guy named Pataki in New York, maybe in 2020. But another great guy to bring on, a different understanding, a different skill set than what we typically have on the board level. We're a company with no debt, and we've got a cash right now of $86 million. It's being spent on remediation studies, exploration drilling, and the feasibility study. We've actually, on our website, we've set up that for careers, if anybody's interested, to post resumes. And then also on the vendor side, I hope this works. It's only been up a few days. If it's not, let us know. But anyway, there's how to contact us. I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions or turn it over to these guys and let them answer your questions if you'd like. Yes, sir?
I don't know whether you want to answer this, but most deposits of this type, and particularly in this area, which I'm very familiar with, happen to be peripherally around porphyry coppers. Where do you think copper deposits are?
Well, we're happy to answer, but a couple of things. Red Mountain's not far away. And then to the west, we've got some intrusives that have some, look like high-level porphyry copper signatures. But this is a bit different than most of the skarns you see around porphyry coppers. On its size, its commodity mix. The other thing that's really odd about it, it's 1-to-1 lead and zinc. If you look at overall on the resource table, you know, lead and zinc are 1-for-1. And it's just really, really weird. I mean, I've seen a bunch of lead zinc deposits around the world, and this is one of the most unique I've ever worked on or been around. And but what also makes it unique is its size. There's it may be unique for lots of reasons, but that exotic block, you know, we believe it was like a laramide thrust that broke those carbonates up and ramped them up. And the reason that block is so well mineralized is because it was ground prepped right in the structure. And we believe it's not the only block that's out there. It's the only block that we've drilled into right now. There are some other indications that is correct. But anyway, it is unique to anything I've ever seen. I mean, I've been to New Mexico, Colorado, points beyond Peru, and this doesn't look like anything I've seen before.
Thank you.
You bet. Great. Encourage you to get to know these gentlemen. All right. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Don. One thing I like about these meetings that we get to the point and then we're out of here. So Cindy, do you have any last minute announcements besides the sold out golf tournament?
Yeah, if you didn't sign up for next Friday's golf tournament, you're too late. It's sold out. Yes, my announcement is, when you leave, if it's recyclable, it goes in the blue cans. If it's not, it goes in the other trash cans. And I think that's my only announcement.
Wow. You heard it first here at ABC. Okay, anything else? Anybody have nice to know, good to know, what we should know? Mr. Aldridge.
One quick thing is president of the Mining Foundation of the Southwest. We're still looking for sponsors. We're up to around, 35, 36 sponsors for our banquet in December. Last year we had about 50, so we're still out there pounding the pavement. This year's honoree is Gary Goldberg of Newmont, president and CEO. And we have quite a nice program. It should be a good event. And I have some pamphlets up there at the front. If you're interested, pick it up. Tell you all about it. Thanks.
Suzanne, do you have any announcements? Thanks for all your work up there, too. Okay, well, I guess you get to the golf course by 3. Thanks, y'all. Have a great weekend and talk to you soon.